We got to have a real conversation today. I appreciate you coming here and addressing this like a man.
How do you not go insane? Like, how does this not completely possess you?
It's a bunch of Kool-Aid because you're still drinking it, my friend.
Reason why the movie's not out right now, because we didn't get distribution. When I talk about guilt, when I talk about protecting, there's definitely a part of me deep down in there that like looks back at that and it was like, that's why that situation was so hard for me.
Out on the corner, he was dealing in drugs. Got himself a barber's chair and gave awesome cuts. Now he's a podcaster. His life, he'll talk about it with us. And now it's Jeff FM.
I know I caused a lot of probably hell and stress over the past couple months in your life when I titled that podcast F. Casey Neistat. I'm sure that was nice to wake up to.
I didn't.
You saw that.
I saw one that said Casey's a fake friend. You took it further,
There might have been a
Jeff?
couple clips. I did say a few different things, but I purposely said those in the episode, so I had clickbait titles. But at the moment, that's how I felt. But
Yeah.
first of all, before we get into all that, because that's going to be deep stuff, and I don't want to have to like do all that right away. I just want to see how you're doing. You just ran the marathon again, beat your world record time.
Well, I beat my Casey. I try to put it into context. It took me like 20 years to be able to run that time, Jeff.
You run with a celebrity
I
coach
came in
that
like,
you have all the help in the world.
I've got all the resources.
You're
that
probably
only I
on
could
special
have.
sauce.
I had someone carrying me. Yep, I was on, the Lance Armstrong doping.
EPO?
Is that what Lance Armstrong takes?
Yeah, EPO was
Is it
the
EPO where
best
you
stuff.
put blood into your veins?
That's what gives you cardio. Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
so
I just cracked that code. You're gonna be running at 2:30 next year.
I had like a van running next to me, and I'd tuck into the van and no. I ran at my best, and it was this.
You cheated. There's no way
I
you did.
cheated. I was on a bicycle. No,
257?
257, yeah.
That's fucking insane.
It's
Congrats.
the same time I did a year ago, but to put it in context for your audience, I think I came in 6,000th place. So it took me my whole life to get that fast, and I still came in
6,000 and out of the New York Marathon.
Yeah.
That's how many people?
There's 60,000 people. So it was a good
Okay.
job, but
So
it's like
top 10%.
yeah, sure, but it's not like for like a 43-year-old dad, I did
Yeah.
great. But like in the grand scheme of things, I'm a fast dad
That's
runner.
respectable. I wanted to.
Appreciate that.
When I saw that time, I was like, all right, fuck, now I have to beat this because you got me so mad in that interview that you did. And I was
Wait,
like,
which interview are we talking about?
the one where you
The
were
one
like,
reason why I'm
David's
here.
the best comedian of YouTube's ever seen, or you said all those ridiculous things. You must have been high or something.
Let's get into it.
I was like, fuck, now I have to beat his time, and that's going to suck because I didn't want to run marathons anymore. But that's how I get revenge on people. I use it as motivation for competition, or, I'm fueled by revenge. So I thought crushing your time would make you finally open your eyes and stop drinking the Kool-Aid.
Well, motives aside, if you're in New York now, Jeff, I would love to train with you. You could fucking crush me in the marathon.
Let's do
You
some
only need to beat me by
5Ks,
21
half
seconds,
marathons.
and you'll have a better number than
I'm
me.
the fastest YouTuber. I will take your crown. You're 40 what?
3.
43?
Yeah.
I just turned 35, so I just had this surgery. Look in my eye. Look what your best friend did to me. This is how this episode's going to go.
I'm here for it, Jeff. I'm here for it, Jeff.
I'm just messing around. Yeah, but that's what I was thinking. And then I was like, fuck, I don't want to train to do that. Let me just have him on the podcast and give him an opportunity to explain himself and why he said some of those things. Talk about what's going on with the documentary. Talk about your life, how you're doing, because we don't see a lot from you. You'll pop out with like 2 videos a year and then go back to family life, which I envy, but also, how you been?
I've been good, man. It's tough because like I am working on projects right now that aren't public facing.
So it's weird that like people think you're doing nothing.
Yeah, because like the truth is, like I majorly prioritize spending time with the family. Like I go home every day from work at like 5:30.
Yeah.
And that's such a special thing compared to like, when we were working together back in the day, it was like 24/7. So I'm definitely not at the same cadence I was, but I'm working on projects that I really care about. They're just not like so public facing, but like I still get that feeling of excitement and happiness when I finish a YouTube video, then post a YouTube video.
Yeah.
I always want to do more.
Do you still hit post, or do you have a guy for that?
I've never had a guy for that.
Damn, I got guys for that. I
those
can't.
guys?
Yeah, I can't post myself. I get anxiety.
The anxiety comes when you read the comments.
Yeah, but
Or when I see your fucking podcast titles.
Yeah, my
That's where the
podcast titles.
anxiety
But
comes from.
man, when I saw that, it hurt because it was like what I texted you. I meant like I told you, like you've been a huge inspiration to me in my entire YouTube
appreciate
career. And I would sit down with my family. I'd show my father your videos because we have the same sense of humor. And I'm like, look at this guy. He runs. He creates his own videos by himself. He doesn't have a team. He's out there really the OG vlogger. You created vlogging, and you are the first one on YouTube. You made the lane, and it still hasn't been matched. And
I appreciate that, Jeff.
I think when you said some comments like, David created his own lane and he was the funniest on YouTube, I think you kind of misworded it. I think that style was new, and now it's kind of been taken over by TikTok, like that fast-paced comedy, different joke, different setting, different scene, just no structure to it or anything like that. It's a completely it's like a trailer. It's a lot easier to make a trailer than it is to make a movie.
Well, why don't we? So when you
that's pissed me off the most when you said he was the funniest. And that's
you
out of all things, all the fucking lawsuit, all this shit. What about Bo Burnham, all these other guys?
So let's
take that back.
So when you first texted me and you were upset, I was like, because I feel like I felt like when you sent me that text, I was like, wait, I've said a version of that probably 10 different times on 10 different podcasts.
Yeah.
What is Jeff so upset about? Maybe he didn't actually watch. And then I went back and watched it, and I was like, no, totally fair. Like, I totally see where you're coming from. It's totally fair. So let me try to reiterate for your audience, in case they haven't seen it, like what I feel I said, and then tell me how you heard it. Because like you're upset, and I totally respect that. I think it's fair, especially after I rewatched it. I was like, I can definitely see how Jeff's upset. Especially like I didn't realize, but like you were going into surgery like a week after you saw that, right?
So that does make me more sensitive to it. But also, he don't give a fuck about you. He don't even answer your texts. So why are you still sticking up for him?
Well, one, I'm not. I don't stick up for David at all.
That episode, you were sticking up for him.
No,
unless it was something that you didn't want to admit, and you were trying to
no.
around the question of why you're not selling the piece.
I'm a wide open book, Jeff. I'm not. There's no like gaming or juking in what I say. So I like what I said, and I mean this. I think that like when I talk about like the flattery of David, like I'm referring to a time when he was sort of like when YouTube was David.
He was
Dobrik.
Charismatic and a good editor.
Yeah, but he also you were on that tour with us when like we ran around and I was like doing all that filming.
Best time of my life, yeah.
And I'd never seen an audience, especially having experienced a version of that myself. Mm-hmm. I'd never seen an audience that looked to a creator the way they looked at David.
Yeah, but Conor McGregor is also the most popular fighter of all time, but he's also on trial for... Or being it's a civil suit, but he's also being accused of sexual assault. So, you could look at it like, imagine you're saying right now, Conor McGregor is the best fighter of all time. People would look at you like,
a good fighter, yeah,
he's a great fighter. I love him. I love him at the press conferences. I loved him at his peak fighting. Yeah, just his personality, his persona, his confidence.
But I think, Jeff, it's important to draw a distinction, which is like, we can talk about, at least I feel like I can talk about David, both the person and his YouTube channel, before all this shit went down. Mm-hmm. Because I think the hardest thing, the biggest challenge that I had with this movie is I felt a little bit misled. And I won't say that because that makes me sound like a victim. And I don't see myself as a fucking victim in any capacity. But like, had I understood the totality of what had transpired, this is not with you and your accident, but what transpired.
Of course, I was a tiny piece. I wasn't even talking about me.
Yeah,
I was more
when this shit went down
looking at it from the point of view from Dom
in the darkness.
Yeah.
If I had understood the totality of that, I don't think I ever would have stuck my toe in the water.
But you did.
But I did.
And now you went further. I'm sure you spent a lot of time interviewing the girl, the victim.
Yeah.
How much time did you spend with her?
Well, first of all, she's not in the video.
Yeah, of course.
You've seen the
movie.
I watched
it,
You've seen the movie a bunch of times. I spoke with a number of people completely off the record. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I spoke with those people is because, the movie, and I'm sure most of your audience hasn't seen it, but like in the movie, what was written in the press by those journalists?
Well, it was only released on... it was
$600
to buy online.
Is that what it costs?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So the only way you could have seen the movie until
On
now
one
is
day,
we did.
It's like a pay-per-view.
It was in one of the biggest film festivals in North America, South by Southwest.
Yeah.
And I think there was a way you could see it online, but it's never been able for the public to see it. There's never been an opportunity for the public to see it easily. But the movie itself doesn't have any firsthand reporting. The movie itself, if I had to like give you the elevator pitch for the movie, it was like the story of what happened when this article came out about just how dark and just how awful sort of the crimes of Dom were.
Yeah.
And then the impact that had on David's vlogs.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the article very fairly points out a lot of other really dark things that transpired in that vlog.
Yeah.
So that's what the movie came about. And like when I was saying before, when I said I felt like a little bit misled, is because I feel like that story did a really accurate job of articulating all of the sort of darkness that transpired throughout the success of David's vlog. And I was really naive to a lot of it. The reason why I don't accept that I was totally misled is it's my responsibility. I should have dug deeper to really understand the implications of what was happening there.
Yeah.
I think the things that I fell in love with when it came to telling this story is that like David was this shooting star. And I just want to be clear so you don't interject. Like,
no, I'm not.
When I'm talking about,
I agree.
When I'm talking about David was, like, there's a big bold line here, which is like before that article came out, before like what was once hidden became public. So I'm only talking about sort of before that. Like David was this star. You were a part of that then, and like where he was, how far he was going to take it seemed like he could have gone all the way. You know, he wanted to be like the next Fallon.
Yeah.
And so for me as a storyteller, like what an incredibly compelling narrative. Like here's this kid with his immigration background and this really like colorful story of how he came here and then starting from nothing, and he builds this YouTube channel and he brings we both know that this is not the true story now, but this is how I saw it then. He like brings all of his friends with him and then they all succeed together, and it seemed like this really romantic story.
Yeah.
And then as I get into it, like there was the fun stuff. Like
Did you think people were getting paid back then? Like the crew?
That was like, if you remember, I don't know if you were one of my first interviews. You were early though. You were so supportive. But I knew people weren't getting paid. But from afar, it sort of seemed like people were getting paid. And I think like my favorite narrative, throughout the movie was being able to like really zero in on the characters that were the supporting staff. Yeah. Because of how honest everybody was. Like how forthcoming people were about their characters.
I was making stuff outside of that. So I was just grateful to have a new group of friends because I just came out of a relationship. So, because they just sent back a court document and they said that, this is what they said legally on this is in writing, that I had only 60,000 followers when I met them, and I should be fine.
I saw this.
I should be fine with this because they gave me some subscribers. My most popular video is where I picked up a homeless guy and gave him a makeover. This is before I even met David, years before. So, I mean, they're so messy with some stuff like that. So it's so hard I know everybody says to forgive, to move on in life, but how do you forgive somebody that's, one, not sorry, two, is lying and saying that it was your fault that this happened to you? You know, that alone, I know, like, I'm not trying to compare myself to the girl, but also I'm sure that he doesn't feel guilt in that either when, he's not the one who did it, but he also profited off of it. And the girl, he said in your doc that she did it for attention. And now maybe you have to be a victim to see these things and really feel these things. And I guess because I am a victim, I can empathize with that girl. But that girl don't want clout. You know that. You interviewed her. She wasn't looking for attention or money. She just wanted to get her story out. Right? Am I right?
Yeah, man, I think that is an important distinction, but David didn't say that she was doing it for attention. He said that the article was written to get clicks. And I think that regardless of those two distinctions,
it's been a while since I saw it. I remember my part more I was focused on because he was like, oh, Jeff's just crazy. He always wants to do crazy shit, which is also like, when did you ever see me doing anything?
I think you're drilling in at a point, both of these, him saying that the article is written for clicks, which is basically invalidates what happened to the victim.
Yeah,
it invalidates,
which is a big no-no.
Which is, I think, both as a human being, it's a very yucky position to take, and then I think sort of politically, like what I said in that interview that you took issue with, and I think it's fair for you to take issue with this. I think it's not a fair characterization the way that I said it in that interview, is that like, I don't think that all that bad stuff that transpired was enough to end David's career if he had taken ownership of what transpired. Yeah. I think that there was this is before anything happened with you, there was such a cadence, if you remember, he was doing 3 videos a week. There was such a cadence and such chaos. There's certainly an argument there that says, I didn't know what a fucking idiot Dom was.
Yeah.
And then the thing that David hid behind, which was, the victim saying,
but he did. I mean, he got the message the night before, the night after, and he had not told us, but he had known. And there's some things that he lied to you about too, which is fair. So that's why, I want to sit here with you, because I know you're an intelligent guy.
Yeah, and Jeff,
I know
all of these points bring home the same thing, which is my biggest issue, both as a friend. Although I worked really hard, and largely because of my wife's encouragement, she was right that you have to stop being a friend and just start being a journalist.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I'm a friend. I got you a gift. I got you this present. Look at that. You didn't take it out.
You didn't have to do that.
Show what it is.
You didn't have to do that.
Because I don't know.
No, I know it's Christmas and everything.
I don't know if you're running out, but there you go. It's a bunch of Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
because you're still drinking it, my friend.
You didn't just
You're
stop.
Still in the cult. You're still blinded.
I'm gonna put these both up.
My friend. You still have a little bit in you. And if you didn't get blasted in the head by a crane or had sex with against your will when you were drunk, you may have different feelings. It took me a long time to stop drinking that Kool-Aid. I went through 5 surgeries, and I was still drinking that Kool-Aid. And then I got a FaceTime when I was in Tampa, Florida at the Jake Paul fight, and you showed me his reaction. And this is the end of the film where you said that it was not handled well by him. So that's why you want to kind of protect David to not put that out, because of the ending he handled so badly, where he showed his true colors. That's who he is. You're doing an interview. You're not doing a vlog, a funny, goofy vlog. You're doing an interview. This is who you are. Answer the question how you really feel. He said he took no responsibility for it. He took no accountability.
None.
He blamed me.
He didn't just blame you. I think this was the biggest issue with.
I try to goof around a little bit about the subject, because I know
I'm going to keep these here. No, and I'm trying my best to keep goofing, which is at the heart of
the reference you get it, the cult
at the heart of our friendship. And then what's serious, because there's nothing.
Those people died that drank the Kool-Aid.
I don't think there's anything goofy about it, and as much as I'll still take it, Jeff, because you have every right to be upset. I haven't had any communication.
Yeah, I know.
With David, nor have I sought any communication with him. And when I talk about this idea of protecting him, no, I don't feel any desire to protect him. And what I said in that interview, and I'll still say this today, is that the way that documentary transpired, if I can give the whole thing in an abbreviated way, is I really was excited about telling this story of what it means to go from zero to being the biggest creator in the world. That was the story that I wanted to tell. And that's the story I wanted to dedicate years of my life to telling. And David seemed like the perfect candidate.
He seemed like it, yeah.
He really seemed like it when I first met him, and his explosion was unlike anything I had seen. And I rode that wave, and that tour, The Greatest Time of Your Life, was sort of the apex of that. It was we were going to universities, we were going to Miami, we were going to all these places, and the way
even here at 368, we felt like the Beatles.
The way people reacted to you guys was unlike anything I'd ever seen. And that was the movie that I wanted to make.
Yeah.
And then this story comes out, and I'm forced to confront the reality of the situation.
All right, real quick, today's episode is sponsored by Aura. Are you looking to get that perfect Christmas gift for your mother, but you can't think what is the perfect gift? Well, get her a gift that has multiple memories. That's the best thing a mother would ever want, is photos of her children and family. And Aura Frames allows you to take pictures and have them rotate out digitally. This is a futuristic frame. You're not gonna see anything like this anywhere else. You just take the picture on your phone, and next thing you know, It's on the picture frame in your living room. Your mother's sitting there crying in tears. Save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames by using promo code Jeff at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code Jeff. This deal is exclusive to listeners, so go get yours now, just in time for the holiday. This will come out after the holiday, but look, it's still good to get your mother a gift. You know, it doesn't have to be Christmas just to give your mother a gift. She'll love it.
And something particularly dark is I had interviewed Dom after.
Yeah. That wasn't in the doc, was
I
it?
mostly cut it out. There's a scene that's left in there with a heavy text on the screen making it abundantly clear this interview transpired before it was made aware of what Dom had done. Because so
you didn't know?
No, I didn't know.
Okay.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And in the interview, I certainly pressed him about, like, do you think the way you act around women is appropriate and those sorts of things. But there's a big distinction between a guy who's a little pushy with girls and the horrific crimes that Dom committed. And that was not made clear to me.
Yeah.
So I had this real enthusiasm to tell this story. And then the whole fucking thing was torpedoed by the truth.
Yeah.
And when that truth came out, I was forced to make a decision. And the decision was this. It was like, throw away 2 years of my life and all of this work about something I care about and throw it away because it's not the story I wanted to tell, which is the truth. I feel like my skill set in life is storytelling, and I can sort of point that at anything. My favorite thing to point it at is like running a marathon, the fun things I do,
but you know what's
going to
happen in that.
Sure.
You write a documentary in the editing. You just
that's
pick
exactly
up the camera
right.
and start filming, so you didn't know which way it was going to go.
That's right. But you could imagine, Jeff, the story I'm trying to tell, which is of this YouTuber. And then all of a sudden, I'm faced with this decision to either abandon it, which I don't think I could have lived with myself, or now I'm making a movie about sexual assault, violence, and
that
someone
don't sound like you even make YouTube guidelines.
And someone almost losing their life because of what is clearly negligence on the part of another person. And in that moment, the decision was, I didn't hesitate. I knew I had to finish this movie, and I had to tell the story. Mm-hmm. And I did that. And I think you uniquely know that David stopped being friends with me or social with me the moment he sort of realized that I wasn't going to back off from this story.
Yeah, same.
Like, but like the last interview I got with him, he didn't want to give me. In fact, it took him 4 months to say yes to that interview. And the way I framed it to him was like, David, this movie's being made with or without you.
Yeah.
And what I'm here to do is give you the opportunity to speak on your behalf. Mm-hmm. The same way that you and I sat down 5 different times so you could make sure, I wanted to really make sure you were sharing what you wanted to share.
Yeah.
So in any event, like, no, the friendship, fun Casey David thing was over the minute that story came out. Mm-hmm. Another little detail that people don't really know, but like...
sorry to interrupt, but there's rumors going around that, if it's all done, if you feel this way, if he feels that way, does he have some dirt on you? Does he have some naked pictures of you? Or you
he does have
fishnet stockings?
Yeah,
did he pay you
there's
off?
a lot of that. There's a lot of that.
How do you answer those questions from the internet?
Because it's
does he have anything on you to not post it? Is there like a contract that he needs to sign?
I think an important distinction. There's nothing revealed in my movie that isn't public information. There's no question.
There's nothing new?
There's nothing new. You've seen it. I think what's important is that I think my movie does a good job of telling the totality of the situation. Yeah. From the beginning till the end.
I deleted mine because it wasn't true. So I'm working on a piece where it's not on him, it's about me. And it's about my struggles and things I'm still going through. Like, look, this month I had a pretty nasty surgery, still number 12. This is my 12th surgery. And I looked at my Instagram, and from the day I got surgery, we dropped this product, shot a campaign with Tana, the dry shampoo. We hit number 1 on Amazon in 2 hours.
Congratulations,
We
Jeff.
opened a barbershop down the block from my parents' house in my hometown where I grew up, which was my dream since I was a little kid. I shot a movie. I did my first live comedy show. I've done all these things, and I'm just fueled by revenge, So I'm pursuing my dreams because of this, but it's also like, and this thing makes it like twice as hard. Everything I want to do is like,
Jeff, you left one thing out of the list of your gigantic successes.
That 3:28 marathon.
Well, that should
That
be in
was
there
good.
too. No, it's the fact that
It's nothing to you, huh?
my
328. That's a workout.
My little baby daughter, who's now 10 and is into fashion and stuff because her friends
Yeah.
at school are. What's it called when a girl has a ponytail that's slicked down on the top? That's really flat.
Slicked ponytail.
Yeah, so that's her new look.
No way. And she uses a pomade.
She only uses your pomade
No way.
because she likes the way it smells. So my
Well,
little one runs around the house with your pomade.
This is for the older one. Dry shampoo, so she doesn't have to take showers anymore.
I'm not letting that anywhere near my kids.
No, it's
They
great.
will
It's a
leverage
good, it's a
that
great,
to
it's,
never
it's a great
bathe
product,
again.
and they're all great ingredients that we use. And it's a pink bag. It's quality leather that I want you to take to your daughters.
I will. She'll be thrilled. But we're off subject, and there's
Sorry,
serious.
I'm Logan Paul in this. I'm throwing
You're
rhyme
Logan
in the
Paul.
middle of my
There are serious things here that I think I do want to address. That's why I'm here. But what I was underscoring before about this idea that like the minute this story came out, I was at this crossroads. It was clear to me, and Candace, my wife, was like brutal with me about this. She was like, make no mistake, if you continue making this, which you have to do, none of them are your friends anymore, and they'll never be your friends again.
I had to make
And
that choice too.
You can't be friends with them. And I said to her, I was like, I think you're right about both things. And I was understanding of that. There was no dissolutions about David. One, I saw how he treated
Anybody that disagrees gets exiled.
Sure.
I knew that was going to happen.
And I was more saying, I
but
saw
I was
how
prepared to
I saw
do
how
that.
he treated me once he realized that not only was I not going to back off, but like this movie wasn't there to protect him.
Yeah.
This movie was just there to tell the truth. And the thing that I offered to him, and I tried to offer him, was that like the best I can do is let you speak for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what was so hard for me to see, is like when I put a camera on you, Jeff, and I asked you questions, no matter how hard they were, no matter what they were, there was nothing you gave me but the truth and your raw, honest self.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's all I know how to do.
And I think that's what made it real and raw and compelling. And the hard part, and I'll never forget, like I remember sitting in his room filming that final interview and me just saying over and
you
over and
wanted
over.
To fucking shake him, you dummy.
That was part of it. It just, really, it blew my mind because I said to him,
18.
I said to him, like, take your time. And if I ask you a question you don't know the answer to, just tell me, and I'll sit here for 10 minutes until you're ready to answer it. Because this is the last time.
PR team there to coach him.
This is the last time you're going to. What I didn't want is for him to come back and be like, I don't know what I said. I wasn't thinking about it. I wanted to make sure he had to own what he said.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give him the time, give him the flexibility. And it was what he said in that interview that was really hard. And I remember, my edit team, my producer on this movie was a big time producer, Academy Award nominated, like a major movie producer, a woman, and my number one editor, this young lady who's been on the movie from the very beginning. They're both women, and they really helped me guide areas that I don't, that one can't empathize with. Mm-hmm. Like being a woman who is a victim of sexual assault, certainly.
Yeah.
But then all the women that were also objectified and things like that. All of that is threaded throughout the movie, and that was largely because I had really smart women helping me guide this narrative. Mm-hmm. But I bring all this up because when you talk about drinking the juice,
yeah,
I think that I'll take that criticism, and I won't fight with you about it.
I drank the juice for the first year. I kept the accent.
I push back on it,
hidden.
Jeff, because like, I didn't hesitate to, throw away my friendship, which I did have with him, and I should have never made that friendship with him because it made me less of a good journalist. Less of an objective journalist for sure. And then I had to tear off the friend Band-Aid and put on the journalist hat, and that was really hard to do. And if I had just been a journalist the whole time, maybe I wouldn't have gotten the access.
Yeah.
But it would have been more honest. Instead, I was his friend, and he was mad with me because he only saw me as a friend, and I was mad with him because of all this bullshit that I felt like was hidden.
Yeah.
And was masked. And when it came out, so you can give me shit for drinking the juice, Jeff. I'm going to take this Kool-Aid home. But I want you to sort of appreciate the fact that
start dwindling down, maybe do a lower dose each day before you got to get off that stuff.
We're still talking about the juice.
Yeah.
I just push back because I would love to understand how you think it's, me drinking the juice because of the fact that I've never had anything to do with the guy. And when I talk about this idea of like,
just saying things like what you did in that interview with that guy. I don't know who is that guy, because you don't do a lot of podcasts.
No,
so
he's fantastic. His channel's fantastic. He used to work at YouTube.
He got good questions out of you.
Really good
got
questions.
you some backlash.
But was there other than
your
what we
answers?
talked about?
No, from just like saying things about that he was the best comedian.
Oh, just about David stuff.
Yeah, just like that
Yeah,
stuff.
so like,
and you not releasing the doc for the sole purpose that you feel the need to protect.
Yeah, I never said that, Jeff. That's a total mischaracterization. And I still don't know why I don't put it out there. I think it's because maybe some part of me, as much as I'm ashamed to admit it, is because I still like very deeply love and care for David, and maybe it's about protecting him from himself.
You said that in the
that's part of it, and it's a nuance. Like the hard part with the internet is being honest and being nuanced.
Yeah,
because people don't want to hear it. They want to take absolutes
like
that, and that's not an absolute. That's not an absolute. The reason why the movie people
maybe you said you maybe you feel the need. Maybe you don't know.
I'll say it to you now as I said it to him, almost verbatim. But the reason why the movie's not out right now because we didn't get fucking distribution. And we didn't get distribution for 100 reasons, most of them bullshit, and it sucks, but we didn't get distribution. And to underscore the effort with which I put into distribution, like we premiered at the biggest film festival in North America. Mm-hmm. Like it played 6 times at that film festival.
Yeah.
It was reviewed by every industry magazine, every industry website out there. I think we had 25 reviews, most of them positive, most of them negative on David. But we did everything we could to get that movie out there. I hired a public relations company to get us lots of press and a sales company to sell the movie. And another important distinction here is that like I had myriad opportunity to take on funding for this movie. I never did. Every aspect of this movie was paid out of my pocket.
Yeah, I know.
And that was something I did to protect the integrity of the film because I never wanted to answer to anyone.
Of course.
So why isn't the movie out there today? It's because we didn't get fucking distribution. And that's frustrating for me. But it still leaves this big fat question of why isn't it on the
internet? You feel like it's like a failure?
I mean, like there's a part of me that thinks that.
Do you feel like I had a part in that because I put out mine and kind of told the story?
No, I don't think that's the case at all.
I told my story.
But you doing that was definitely contributed to my motivation of not having this be on YouTube. And I still stand by that. That's why it's not on YouTube today.
Fuck me, they age restricted it all. I couldn't even show my own face.
Well, that would be a part of it, but it's less practical for me and more just like, I think when people consume on YouTube, it's done with a certain purview that would have negatively impacted how people view this movie. They would have seen it as gossip. They would have seen it as another sort of YouTube-y, gossipy thing instead of what it was, which I think, and maybe this is giving myself too much credit, but I think that movie captures a really important moment in YouTube history, which is when these runaway creators would take their desire for sensationalism to an inevitable and wildly dangerous end. In David's case, almost killing someone, and then a young woman being assaulted. Yeah. And I still believe this, that the vehicle with which people see that through should feel more formal than my YouTube channel.
Well, you're an amazing filmmaker and you're a really smart guy. And
Jeff, you didn't let me finish because you brought up what I said about protecting David.
Go ahead.
I want to answer your question.
Yeah.
And I prefaced all of this by saying it's nuance, and that's why people don't like nuance on the internet, because they want to say bad or good. They don't want to understand the complexity. So I didn't get distribution, which fucking sucks. And here we are 3 years later, and the movie's not out. And why isn't the movie out, Casey? I didn't get distribution. Totally honest answer. Why haven't you put it out in the 3 years since? That's where it gets more complicated. Yeah. And this is where I start to look at myself and think like, okay, like, ABC News, CNN, Fox News, they didn't buy this. Hulu didn't buy this. Netflix didn't buy this. But that's not the end. You and I both know that's not the end. There are other ways to get this out there. Why didn't I put that extra effort in? And this is where, like, if I'm honest with myself, it's like, there's definitely a part of it, which is like, that was such a fucking painful, shitty experience making that. That is not making the movie that I wanted to make. And when I say painful, I should have picked a different word because my face, believe it or not, this is what my face normally looks like. I haven't had a single surgery on it. This is just what I wake up to every day. I didn't get one construction equipment to take out my fucking orbital.
Kind of gave me that trick with the glasses. Like, if you don't feel confident, just throw glasses on, just kind of.
Now everybody knows why I have glasses on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
That's what helped me get out of the house and get my life back home. All right, real quick, this episode's sponsored by Rocket Money. Let me ask you a question. How many subscriptions are you subscribed to right now when it comes to streaming services, whatever, all that stuff? Just take a guess. Wrong. It's way more. You're losing all your money. You're going to be living on the streets if you keep it up. If you don't get Rocket Money, you're going to be homeless. The start of the new year is here, and it's a perfect time to get organized, set goals, and prioritize what matters. For me, a top priority is my financial wellness, which feels more important than ever. Thanks to Rocket Money, my goals feel achievable. They show me all of my subscriptions right in one place and help me easily cancel ones that I forgot. So if I've been paying for but I already watched everything on there, just click cancel and it cancels it for me, and it saves me the headache of having to go back and forth and call customer service and get put on hold and all that stuff. They'll just deal with all the stuff that you don't want to have to deal with, and they'll help you get your spending habits together and your finances in line. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/JeffFM today. That's rocketmoney.com/JeffFM today. rocketmoney.com/JeffFM. That's rocketmoney.com/JeffFM. Thank you, Rocket Money, for sponsoring the show. Now let's get back on with it.
So part of the reason why have you been sitting on it for 3 years? Well, one, I'm fucking exhausted of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the movie I wanted to make.
Yeah.
When I think about that movie, it forces me to confront all of the bullshit that I just expressed. And then that evokes a sense of doubt in me. And this is real. And this is me being honest and me being vulnerable. And this is the same thing I would say to you if none of these cameras were here or anyone that asked me.
Of course.
Like, why isn't it out? And it's like, maybe there is some part that's like, I don't want to have to confront this story. Maybe there's some part of me that feels guilty because the reason why I had that access is because I was their friends. Mm-hmm. I was David's friend.
Yeah.
And he gave me all this access.
Yeah.
And then in the end, I used it to make a movie that told the truth that he didn't want out there. That's fucked up. But like, I'm just being honest. Like, there's some tiny bit of doubt in me that thinks maybe the reason why I'm not more aggressive in getting this out there is because of that. Is that me protecting him? If you see it that way, then there's nothing I can do.
I'm just going off words that I actually heard.
Sure. But I'm telling you as I told it in that interview, which is like, there is certainly a level of doubt in me that's like, maybe I am. Maybe that I am protecting him, and that's fucked up. I shouldn't be like that.
Do you feel guilt towards the girl? Because
not just the girl. I feel guilt towards the victim, and she's a real victim.
Yeah.
I feel guilt towards you because
I don't give a fuck. I tell my own story. People, I talk about it. They tell me I shut up about it.
Sure, Jeff, but you were incredibly generous with me when I was making that movie, with both your time, your insight, and how vulnerable you were willing to be with me on camera. And you gave me all of that with the understanding that I would then share it. And I haven't done that for you. And there's a sense of guilt there.
Well, I'm barely in it, and my part of it is so small, and I saw what I needed to see to understand, that, like, what was I thinking? Like, this is who this kid really is. I should have fucking known. Like, he's with everybody. If you say no to the boss, you're banished. Look at Trisha, look at Big Nick, look at Seth, look at anybody that said no to him, they got banished. You think I wanted to take that leap and say I'm going to be a solo creator when before I was a weed dealer? I didn't know shit. I didn't know if I had the confidence to try to make it on my own or go back to selling weed. You can't. I already talked about it online, But like Jason, like he doesn't know what to do without him. So I don't blame these people for not having the confidence to take the leap and try and do things on their own. They don't know any better. It's the Antonians that were given cars and shit. Like they.
Well, so this goes back even for like the Jason part of the story probably affects me more than
part
David.
Of it.
Well, sure, but regardless of what the world knows of Jason, Jason is someone I got to know, I think, very well. And I think one thing about Jason that makes him such a special person is he only tells the truth. Like, what you get from that guy is his honest truth. And that on camera, like, Jason telling me the story. This is when David was at his peak, so Jason was at his peak. Mm-hmm. And Jason telling me the story of what it was like after he first separated from his wife and not knowing how he was going to make a living and almost giving up on his comedy career. And then the next scene is us having a tour of his new beautiful home. Yeah. And how he found all this success because of what he did with David. Yeah. And then also within that, Jason not holding back at how challenging is the relationship that he has with David. Like you asked me, did I know that people weren't getting paid? The reason why so much of the story zeroes in on Jason is because I wanted to understand his motives. Yeah. And I didn't have to dig. He was very open with them. Yeah. As well as he was open with how hard it is working for David. And I think one of the things about the doc that really early on sort of shook me was the first question that I asked all of the collaborators. Heath, Zane, everybody I talked to was, is David your coworker or is he your friend?
Yeah.
And I thought about that question because I thought they were going to attack me. Like, how fucking dare you? He's my friend.
Yeah.
And not one person said that. They all stopped and thought, like, well, we are friends, but we were, and I was like, holy shit, like, there's the story. I want to understand how this works. But in any event, we're pulling off subject because we're pulling off topic. I just want to drill in on this idea, and I don't fault you for this, Jeff, because if I was sitting in your shoes right now, I would feel the same way. But this idea that the sole reason why this documentary isn't out there in the world is because I'm sitting with my arms folded thinking I need to protect this guy who threw away his career, who threw away all of these things that he had earned, and he threw it away by seeing other people be victimized, and instead of standing up for them, he saw himself as the victim.
Yeah.
And that's not the case.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that word protected, and I should be more careful with that word, and this is why I don't fault you for interpreting it the way you interpret, is because like I'm being fucking honest, and there is a part of me that feels
It's
a little
out
bit
there.
of guilt.
There's nothing new in the story.
Well,
unfortunately,
there's nothing new.
But as what I was trying to get at before, now that you said that, that you are such a genius filmmaker and the way you do things, I don't see a reason why you can't pivot and take that story and make it not just about David, make it about the Jack Dohertys who crashed their car and filmed their friend's skull leaking blood. And it's not done yet. My story's not done. I had surgery 3 weeks ago. You know, this is 4 years later, but it's still very ongoing.
Do you remember how the doc ends right last time you saw it?
He kind of just said that he didn't really give a shit about us.
Literally how the doc ends is this is when he started up the vlog again after all this bad stuff.
Yeah.
You're in it, and it's the two of you boxing in a boxing scene where you're sort of jovially laughing at one another, and you sort of punch him and your buddies, and he makes a joke about hitting you with the excavator.
Yeah, better with instruction equipment.
Yeah. So a big part of the reason, and this is more practical.
I would love to tie up this story and have it be over with too, but it's just that's how life is. You know.
Well, so therein lies the rub, because after you fucking blew me up online, which I'll take it, Jeff.
It's a good title.
No,
Fuck Casey Neistat.
It's a great title. I wish I'd thought of it myself. I sort of had to sit back and I was like, really think about it and be like, and I think I called you one night or sent you a voice note and I was like, why don't we just make a podcast where we appeal for distribution?
Yeah.
Because I still firmly believe that YouTube's not the place for this movie.
Yeah.
But
and
then
they didn't want my movie because it made pushing it for YouTube look dangerous and make it dangerous for creators.
This movie's critical of YouTube.
But that's what the truth is. Being a YouTuber, your brain chemistry, to become happy, you want something positive, some form of success.
What was the name of the podcast?
What?
His podcast?
Whose?
David's?
Views. So views make you happy. Views are
drug.
controlled by this
thing.
algorithm.
Yeah.
And if you don't get the views, if you put all this work into a video and you don't get the views, now you're depressed, and then you got to push it to do more and get more views. Otherwise, it's a lot for your brain to handle, especially at a younger age. It sort of stunted me from when I started YouTube.
The first time you've ever faced success.
Yeah,
this is
you don't want to lose it.
Your income is tied to that view count. It's all real.
Yeah,
and it's critical of that. So
you can make a great piece that you worked on for weeks, and it could do nothing. And you could make a video that took you 10 minutes to film, and it could get 8 million views on TikTok.
Story of my life, Jeff. Story of my life.
Yeah.
But in any event, when you came out, I was like, and I saying that note being like, let's find distribution. I thought about it and I was like, fuck, like the movie ends with you and him as friends and him making videos again. That's not accurate.
Not true.
So that's totally not true. So we have to change the ending. And then the more I'm thinking about it, the relevancy of the movie as it's framed now requires a complete redux of the film. And I think that I was talking to a good friend who's a very smart filmmaker, and he said, you know, I'm not in the film. And I did that on purpose.
Yeah.
It's very important that I'm not in the film. But looking at it now, it's like, I think the only way to make the film work is to pull out everything and put my voice in as the voice that carries you through. I don't know if I agree with that.
I think so, because you did crazy stunts too. You rode that surfboard, and you were doing wild stuff when you were on your rise too. And you know, you had a broken femur.
When I was riding that surfboard.
Now you just run. You know.
When I rode that surfboard through Amsterdam, we had all the canals were closed and we had rescue divers in the water. I'm totally serious.
Yeah, and I believe you.
It was done as safely as it could be done.
I believe that you would do it like that.
But no, like, look,
I think it's salvageable. I think it needs work. Last time we did our podcast, I said, "Are you done? Is it wrapped?" And you said, "Yes, it's completely wrapped. I'm not touching it ever again." And that's when I was like, "Damn, Casey, like that's the first bad idea I ever heard from you." You know?
And you're right. It's a bad idea, but this takes me to a place of like,
I just want to run. I want to wake up and go for a run and hang out with
Jeff,
my kids.
you're not far off. Like I spent 3 years on that. 2 of those years were making a movie I was really excited about. One of those years was making a movie I hated.
Yeah.
I don't want to make a movie about sexual assault. I don't want to make a movie about my friend getting his fucking face
make a
smashed
movie
in.
about how far creators and people
No, I get
on
it.
social
but the
media
point
push
is,
it to
I hear you, Jeff. The point is, I spent 3 years of my life on this, untold amounts of money on this.
Yeah.
When I finished it, I was happy that it was done, and I was
Yeah.
happy with where it was, and I shared it with the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very disappointing to not get distribution. It was really disappointing, and I can share with you off camera some of the political reasons. When I say political, I mean reasons that had nothing to do with the movie. Our distro fell through, which was heartbreaking for me. Bullshit. Working with the wrong people, that kind of thing, and it crushed me. And I was so exhausted by the end of this that part of me was like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And that's where that guilt comes from. That's where that like, is it real?
Yeah.
Like, who am I to not want to do this? Like, am I doing this to protect David? Mm-hmm. And that's a yucky feeling. That's a really gross feeling for me to have to ask myself. So then like, you come out and I'm like, Jeff's not wrong for what he said. Title's a little aggro, but he's not wrong. Do I want to?
Yeah, I mean,
like,
if you're not going to put it out, I'll just say what happened. Don't worry about it.
Do I want to put this thing out there? And then it's like, well, I have to redo the ending at best. And then I was like, no, I don't redo the ending. Then this won't make sense.
You got to redo the whole film.
I got to redo the whole fucking film. And it's like, I spent 3 years of my life on this. The last year I hated every day of it. I hated the fact that these guys that like...
How long did Avatar take?
Like 10 years.
10 years.
You see, Avatar is fucking great, man. I don't have a single blue person, not one alien or spaceship in my movie.
It's going to take you some time.
But it's like, do I want to dive back into it? And the answer is, I should, but I sure as shit don't want to.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to stir all that shit up. I don't want to be here talking to you, Jeff, about it. I want to be here talking to you about your products, about your new barbershop. I want to be here talking to you about moving to New York City. I want to talk to you about running. I want to talk to you about selling weed.
Okay.
But like, this subject is like, it fucking sucks. And
well,
it sucks.
I feel for you because you're a friend, and to see you get all that flack, like I read comments.
Don't feel bad for me for that. I don't need that. I don't mind that.
You usually never screw up. You're usually YouTube's OG that gets everything right. You're the voice of YouTube.
You don't put yourself on YouTube.
Logan Paul films a dead body, does an interview with you to clear his name. That sit down interview.
I'm not sure that interview helped him or hurt him.
I think it helped him. I think it's good to sit down with you.
I will say, I know we're jumping all over the place. He was bold in that. I asked him hard fucking questions in that interview. I remember him turning red.
Yeah.
And it made me feel
those Pauls got kind of pinkish red skin.
Yeah, but he stepped up. He answered the questions.
Yeah.
I was impressed with Logan. Logan's a really good example here. Logan fucked up. He fucked up.
Yeah.
That shit in Tokyo was wrong.
I thought it was sick.
Of course he
did.
He took.
Wish I had that idea first.
He took ownership of it.
Yeah.
And I think you can be criticized for how you can criticize him for how he dealt with it. But I looked at it and I was like, I believe him.
What's the big deal? It's just a fucking
No, I think it is a big deal.
Japanese
I know you're joking, but I think that Logan tried his best to demonstrate that he genuinely believes he did something wrong.
Yeah.
And I say that, Jeff, just to compare that with the way that David reacted.
Yeah, you can move on from things. There's ways to handle them.
You have to take accountability.
I've done so many
ownership.
bad things. If I had my friend Cody here, the podcast I did last night, we were talking about how Cody snatched an old lady's purse when he was on all these drugs, and then he got beat up and jumped because he got caught by, like, his friend saw him snatch an old lady's purse. And then these are my friends that I hang out today, and then my other friend Nick is talking about how he gave his dog antifreeze and killed his own dog. And these are guys that I hang out with today, and they have come a long way. They take accountability. They've changed. They admit to change. But I don't think David has that in him, because I still haven't seen a change. I'm still fighting things in court, and I still hear things like, yo, I gave you your career. Liza gave you your career. My ex-girlfriend gave me my career. That's what you're gonna put on a court document.
Yeah, I agree.
You want
That's-
me
that's gross.
to chill the fuck out and stop talking about you? You expect me to do that when I'm getting things like this back?
I will say, Jeff, and I say this with no equivocation. If I was in your shoes, I would be fucking angry, and angry is not even a fair word. I would be as angry as you are, or more angry.
Yeah.
For the rest of my life. There's
Yeah.
no way I could get past this. And I think, I mean, you remember because we talked about it then, and this was all private conversation, but like, I learned from you that David hadn't been there in the days after it happened. And when you told me that, I called him standing outside your apartment, and I was like, what the fuck? And he was like, he doesn't want me there. And I was like, you show up with fucking flowers. If someone gets hurt and you bear responsibility,
Yeah.
you don't stop until, especially if that person is someone you care about.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine if I was in his shoes.
No, and that's one of those things, like the minute you stop being able to empathize with someone, where do you go from there? And I empathize with you being pissed at me, and I understand perspectives. I understand people think differently, but that for me was such a moment. And it was when I was interviewing him. And he was like, they wrote that article for clicks. And what went on in my head, and I couldn't say this because I wasn't there to litigate,
Yeah.
was that journalist may have written that for clicks.
Yeah.
But that victim, who's a genuine victim and has to live with those scars for the rest of her life, she didn't find the willingness to speak with a journalist because she wanted attention. Mm-hmm. That young woman, by the way, is completely off the record, completely anonymous. She doesn't want to carry this scar with her publicly for the rest of her life. She chose to deal with it herself, which is brave and bold. And I hope she goes on to live a long, happy life. But it's a scar she's going to bear forever.
Yeah.
So no, it's not about fucking clicks right now. It's about accountability. It's about the fact that there's a real victim here. There's a survivor who has to live the rest of her life with this scar. That, you know, David obviously did not commit those heinous acts.
Yeah.
But there's a role. There's a role played by everyone involved that facilitated something that falls on Dom's shoulders. And I like the fact that Dom is still out there running around irks me. Like, I can run into any one of the vlog squad and it will be uncomfortable. If I saw David, it would be uncomfortable. I would do my best to say hello. But if I ever saw Dom in real life, I'd have a really tough time not beating the shit out of him.
My whole thing with, you know, putting an end to this thing.
Jeff, you're never going to put an end to this thing.
I'm never going to put an end to this
I don't know
thing.
how you could. I don't know how you could. You know, I
want to because I want to move on with my life. I live it because I see in headlines this like just the way they talk about me, just man hurt and stunt and freak accident. And even just hearing freak accident pisses me off. You know, David, you got the quotes in your documentary. It's not funny unless somebody gets hurt.
Cool visuals and funny stuff, and this is not funny unless someone gets hurt.
Do these stunts ever concern you, Natalie?
Yeah, all the time. That's my job. That's why I'm here. I'm here to be like Safety Sally.
That's what he says in your doc.
Moreover, Jeff, I saw the raw footage from that day.
Yeah.
It was some of the most upsetting shit I've ever seen.
So maybe that's why I still go on with why I push so hard, why I still do podcasts, why I still do, you know, main channel documentaries and everything that I try to do, open barbershops, products, whatever. Like, I'm still trying to do so much because I just don't want to be that guy in that video that got hit by the crane by this dumbass David Dobrik. Imagine like Jack Doherty did that to me or some shit, because that's the new David Dobrik, you know? That motherfucker knows what he did. I had to sit there, get CAT scan. They had to cut off my clothes and take my jewelry, my St. Christopher medallion that's supposed to protect you in your travels through your pursuit of your dreams, whatever. This thing I gave to him to hold for me. He lost it. So it showed how much he cared.
The reason why I say
how
to
do
you,
I forgive this guy? How do I move on with my life?
The reason why I say to you, if I was in your shoes, I would never be able to move on, is not because of the injury.
What do I tell Andrew Schultz when he's like, hey, be quiet? And then I say, all right, send me an address, let's fight. And then he's like,
why did Schultz tell you to be quiet?
He was like, all that guy does is complain about his fucking eye.
This is why, if I was in your shoes, I would never stop complaining. And it's not because of what happened.
So Andrew Schultz is a fucking dummy.
I love Andrew Schultz.
That's another one, Casey. Now we're gonna have to do a whole nother show.
I love Andrew. You should title this one "Fuck Casey and Fuck Andrew." Or we should workshop the title.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I'll give you a bunch of faces for the thumbnail.
No, I'll take care of it. I'll do it.
That's what AI is for. The reason why, when I try to empathize with you, when I think, what would I do if I was in Jeff's shoes? I think that it's not the injury that I couldn't get past.
It's the motherfucker who did it.
Not even that. It's the way things transpired after. And that's what, like, when I really think about it, when it was happening at the time, this is what I'd like lay in bed talking to my wife about. It's just like, what happened to you was fucking horrific. And we can litigate for days why it happened. I think it happened because of gross negligence, stupidity, and just like a borderline, like a borderline focus on something like above the line happening. Like, you know, until that, like, it's not a joke till somebody gets hurt. I think David said that in jest, but behind that is a real truth. But until, like, we cross that line,
and
we
then
haven't
Natalie
done it.
goes,
And that's
yeah,
what the
I'm
focus
safety
is on.
Sally.
How do we cross that line? And this time when the line was crossed, it ended up with you almost losing your life.
Yeah.
Even that I could get past. But what transpired afterwards is why I can do nothing but validate the fact that you haven't shut the fuck up about this for 4 years.
Well, thank you.
Is because, and I mean, I said this to you then, Jeff.
Yeah.
Is because it's like, it's one thing to be dealing with what you're dealing with.
I had my grand opening of my barbershop yesterday. My childhood dream, you know, I had to cut hair with one eye at it. I was like this trying to give haircuts, you know.
Can you not see out of the?
Right now, no.
But it'll
I
come
can't, because when the swelling goes down and it takes, like, the tissue all takes place and settles wherever it's going to be.
But you didn't lose sight in that eye.
Right now, I have like blur out of it, so I just keep it shut. But I don't want to surrender to an eye patch.
But eventually you'll be able to.
We'll see. It's up in the air, you know. Just see how things heal.
So yeah, so that's how that's how I look at it when I try to think about what I would be like in your shoes. Is like, I don't know that I could get past that. I don't, like, that is such an unbelievable thing. I don't know how you're supposed to get over it. Yeah. How does this not become a big defining part of who you are? And we're sitting here 4 years later and you just got out of a fucking life-threatening surgery. And Jeff, I've said all of these things to you off the record.
I just got to beat your marathon time. And then it's all in the past.
The thing is, you're skinny and I'm big.
Yeah, but
so with enough focus,
you got that
you are an
fucking
inch
New York
taller than
City
me,
marathon
you weigh 40
running
pounds lighter
coach.
than me.
You have all the cheat codes.
I do have all the cheat
and
codes.
I just run out there like an idiot by myself.
I'm gonna coach you. What I've learned, I'm gonna communicate to you.
I will be YouTube's fastest man. That's a good title to have. The fastest celebrity in New York City.
But the thing is, in order to accomplish that, you just need to be. I was like 257, like I think 20 or 30 seconds. You just need to shave off those 20 or 30 seconds, because then you did 256. That's it. It's over.
Oh yeah, but
what I mean?
No, but I got to shave off 28 minutes, or I got to shave off 30 minutes.
30 minutes?
Yeah, because I ran 3:28.
Oh, so you want to run
3:28 minutes.
So you ran you want to run 2:58.
I want to beat you.
So you got to run 2:56.
I want to be the fastest man on YouTube. I want revenge. I want to finally put this eye to rest and
32 minutes.
You know,
you got to shave off 32 minutes.
Drop the case. Look, I'm now the fastest man on YouTube.
I don't know that it's going to help with the trauma, both emotional and physical, that is your face.
That's all I know is to run. Get up and run. That's how I deal with my problems, by running. Yeah. That's the only way I don't go insane is by fucking running every day.
How do you not go insane? How are you not, like, how does this not completely possess you?
It fuels me. I use it to motivate me to try things that that scared the shit out of me.
Have you gone to therapy?
Yeah, but you know,
Does it work for you?
There's nothing like doing stuff that really scares me. Like jumping out of planes was scary. Getting past
that. You jumped out of a plane like 2 months after, right?
Yeah, I had to complete the thing.
I think I told you not to do that.
Yeah, but also, like, I had stage fright when I was a kid. I didn't want to present projects in front of school, like in front of the classroom. And when they call on me to read, I don't want to read. Now I'm doing a tour, and I got no idea what I'm fucking doing. I'm doing a stand-up tour. I've never done stand-up. And we booked 15 shows. I have no backing out. What the fuck am I going to do?
So what's the format?
So I got to I'm just keeping my brain off
What's the format of your live show?
I don't know. Figure it out.
Is it you with a microphone or you at a table? Is it like when Tana did it?
Stand
where it's
up,
kind of
sit
a
down a
discussion?
little.
Okay.
Tana talks about a vagina. I don't have a vagina. I can't
I've
do
seen
that.
it. I've seen hers.
Yeah. What am I going to talk about? I don't know. Go up there. My eye. Casey, fuck him. That's I don't know. Maybe that's a New York show. But what's that going to do?
It doesn't translate as well outside
yeah.
the YouTube title.
Yeah. No, but I take it back. And I said kind of fuck Casey a little bit, because of what he
Jeff,
said. And it's
Jeff, I appreciate it. All I did was text
brother.
you when you said that.
Let's
but
figure
before
this
we
out.
end this, like what I mean, you're being upset was completely real, and I just like we have these conversations off the record, but I think this is a good opportunity. Like, I hope you're able to understand what I mean when I say that. Like, part of me is it guilt, and I want you to know that like. Guilt to protect him.
Yeah.
And I want you to know that like I own that statement. That wasn't a misstatement.
Yeah.
Like deep in my soul is like fucking again, the David thing is a part of it, but like the Jason thing is a really big part of it. Like what broke my heart is I felt like I put so much effort into letting Jason speak for himself, and I thought he did an amazing job. And when I showed it to people who didn't know Jason, they're like, that guy is extremely compelling.
It makes sense why he was an old guy hanging around a bunch of young
but when
kids
Jason
and
saw it,
yeah,
Jason's
spoke
reaction
very well.
to it was incredibly negative. And that also broke my heart.
Jason's reaction to himself?
Yes.
I thought Jason
to the
was
movie
great.
itself. I thought he was fantastic. He was the most honest, sort of out there person who was not injured. He was just there for it. And he spoke very clearly on the fact that like, yes, I went from having nothing to now being a millionaire because of David.
Yeah.
Was it worth it? And he gives an honest sort of answer. He pulls no punches.
Yeah.
Yet in the finished product, like when he saw the final movie, he was super, super angry and angry with me.
What the fuck?
Look, I get it. I genuinely do. When I talk about how I empathize with you, I stop and I think, if I was in his shoes, what would I think?
That's why I joke around with this, because
then maybe you're fair. Then that's why these are still on the table.
Yeah, Jason, I'm sorry, buddy. You got offered a $10 million deal just to sit there and talk with David, and he turned it down. You wouldn't have to be begging for money.
That's what happened with the podcast or something?
Yes. What is it? The music thing? Spotify? They fucking offered them
Why'd they say no?
allegedly, and David said no.
Why?
Because I don't know if it's because he doesn't want to post on YouTube or post on anything because there's comments, and he just hides on Snapchat because everybody would just
leave. What are you drinking? Is that a cup of maple syrup?
It's Coca-Cola. My blood sugar was low. Why?
I don't know. I've just been listening to a lot of RFK. He talks about how toxic that stuff is, Jeff. It's got a caramel
I'll
coloring
run it
in
off.
Which okay.
Yeah.
Okay. As long as there's
I'll be
a plan.
all right.
As long as there's a plan.
Yeah.
But I want to be clear that like that's genuine, and I mean that. There's a part of me that questions.
Imagine that Kool-Aid drinking. Like you are still sitting there crying about how you're not happy with where your life's at right now. But all David had to do was sit there and talk with you on a podcast, and you'd have a percentage 70-30. I think $3 million. Your house would be paid off right there.
I just want to be clear, like you were super upset, and my understanding of you being upset was that distinction. And I wanted to explain it to you, not to not make you upset. If you understand it and you still feel upset, then I understand. I appreciate that.
No, I get it.
I just want to be clear that like, I mean, you were there, and this is what makes me think like, fuck, what's it must be like inside of Jeff's head. Because that thing, that greatest time in my life when we were on that tour, like that was so real.
Of course,
it was so real. And this is a crazy thing to say,
well, like,
but like Beatles. But like I don't have a lot of friends. I have a million people that I know.
Paul McCartney.
You look like Paul McCartney.
I was John Lennon. I was the cool one. Come on.
I have a million people that I know. I have a million people in my life. I'm very lucky, but I don't have that many like real friends. And I think on that trip, what was so special for me was like, these are people who I just recently met, and I haven't had this kind of friendship.
These people will just film with each other for free.
Yeah.
They have like a trade-off deal where like, you do my video, I'll do yours.
And there was and there were ugly parts of it. People didn't want to but for the most part, like there was this kind of love and this friendship there. Like I saw Nick last week for the first time in forever.
Really?
He looks great. He had a beautiful girlfriend.
Jonah?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. He looks better than ever.
He has a girlfriend?
She's so pretty, dude, and sweet.
He's
Take
gotta
it
be
easy.
paying her.
Take it
How
easy.
much is he paying her?
But-
what did he tell her?
But he's,
I'm Jonah Hill.
but he seemed great, and
I'm the real Jonah
I
Hill?
was so happy to see him because he was part of that.
Yeah, I loved him. He was my favorite. I took him in. I made him my co-host on my
camera,
show.
off camera, he is an
I
amazing.
still have
fucking guy.
feelings for him and that whole family. I still talk.
You
to them.
should, and it's like so. That's when I talk about guilt. When I talk about protecting, there's definitely a part of me deep down in there that like looks back at that and it was like, that's why that situation was so hard for me. And like, no, I made the best effort I could possibly make to get this movie out there for extenuating circumstances. It didn't get out there. But I'm very guilty of sitting on it for the last 3 years.
What
And when I
Peacock
question
or something,
what's
you
that?
can't- what about Peacock
We
or-
tried.
Yeah, everything.
So, yeah. We had sales agents, did everything. And we had interest
Tubi?
parties and like,
Yeah, like all these random things. I don't.
yeah,
there's
we
so many.
very literally did. The funny thing is they all sort of fall under one of 3 or 4 different.
Oh yeah.
Like Hulu owns ABC, like all these other outlets. Disney owns Hulu. But like that's a part of it. It's a genuine part of it. When I lay in bed with my eyes open, I'm like, why isn't this movie out there? There is a little part of me that I don't know how to confront, which is like it stirs that up. How much of a role does that play? I can tell you nothing.
yeah.
But I don't fucking know, Jeff. I'm a human being.
Yeah.
And like that friendship, that camaraderie, that greatest time in your life, for me, it didn't end with my face being smashed in.
Yeah.
For me, it ended by having to confront that, like, is this guy like not the person that maybe I thought he was?
Yeah.
I don't know. But it was really like, that's tough. So like, why don't you stop my life right now and spend 6 months re-editing that? Do I want to revisit that?
Yeah.
Fucking no, man.
I
It
get
fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But it does need to be out there. I do want to put it out there. And I want you to know that, like, you know, the person who line produced this, who worked me hand in hand to make this, person who wrote the documentary
Yeah.
with me.
He
He
wants it
doesn't
out.
know David from fucking anyone. Like, he doesn't care. He wanted to make the best story
Yeah.
possible. He saw all the raw footage. He knew what we were dealing with. He was the one that after that story came out, I was like, how much of the movie is what happens in this story? This is that woman being assaulted. And he was the one who said, this is the entire movie.
Yeah.
And he was right. He was right. He also wants it out there.
I'm 1% of it. You know, like
No,
I'm,
what I think the role that you play is to show that what transpired with that young woman was not a one-off event. That when someone this young has this much power and this
Yeah.
much incentive to generate sensationalism, because that's his currency, like his content was sensational. It's like, holy
Yeah.
shit, I can't believe that happened. That it will lead to these inevitable conclusions.
Yeah,
And
like
in
the
this case,
Tesla jump, and then they redid the Tesla jump, and the other
in
kid
this-
like died
yeah,
or something.
In
or
this
got,
case,
like,
it was a young woman being victimized. In your case, it was you almost losing your life.
yeah,
And by the way, before all this shit went down, I do think his episodes, like, they were novel. No
Yeah.
one had ever seen anything. 4
No,
minutes and 20 seconds.
nowadays with TikTok, it's pretty much
It's become-
taken
right.
the style and that
His style has been co-opted.
Yeah.
But like he had lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, of
And you
course.
can say that without celebrating it.
He was a
or
great
celebrating
editor
him.
and
He was
has a great
editor.
soundtrack,
His
and he didn't give a fuck
focus-
about AdSense, so he used copyright
Or when he
music.
would delete a scene that he spent a day and a half filming
Yeah.
because it wasn't the right 6
Yep.
seconds. Like, no, I do believe that like that was a time in YouTube
I can agree with you
that
there.
will most likely never happen again, probably for the best. But
Yeah.
it did yield some incredible fucking comedy.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Keep checking your watch. Do we have to stop?
No, I just get messages on. I'm checking my heart rate.
What's
you
your
know,
heart
you
rate
check-
at right now? I'm trying to get it up.
You're trying to get my heart
Yeah,
rate
I'm
up?
trying to get you fired up, Jeff. Wittek.
I keep getting texts. It's at 68.
That's pretty good. Pretty impressive.
I'm an athlete.
What's your resting heart rate?
It's right now because I haven't been working out because of surgery. It went up a little bit. It's at 52.
That's not bad, Jeff.
But for my age, what's yours? It's probably
Yeah,
low,
it's
right?
like 38 to 42.
Damn, that's
Not
a real
low.
athlete.
It's probably lower. It's probably higher now, but like when I was marathon training.
Yeah, it gets low. That's
I
sick.
haven't-
That's when you feel like a real like.
You feel like a superhuman.
Yeah.
Or like when you're like helping someone carry shit upstairs and you get to the
Yeah.
top and they're all huffing and puffing and you're just like,
Let me ask you a question now.
Yeah.
Put all that bullshit behind me. You get the Kool-Aid off the table. But let's talk marathon racing.
Let's get the
You
serious
now
stuff.
broke your record again. How many more fucking times are you going to keep trying to break this record? Are you satisfied? Now, did you get the post-race blues? Because they say after you put in so much work, you go out and run every day, it's a part of your routine, it's all you know, and then you finally succeed at that goal. What's next? You know, it's kind of like
no,
making
I didn't get the
videos.
post-race blues because it was like, and this is a movie I made 2 years ago about it, but
You made a movie called Post-Race Blues?
no, but I made a movie about running the marathon 2 years ago, which tried to capture this, but it was like, I was chasing it my whole life so aggressively.
Yeah.
And you never know when like in my case a motorcycle, you're gonna crash your motorcycle and your whole right leg's gonna be made out of metal. You never know when your dipshit friend is gonna hit you in the face with an excavator.
Yeah.
You don't know what life's gonna throw at you. But I know like a lot of old people that were runners when they were young, and they have their time.
My brother's saying that right now because he's turning 40, and he's like, I want to run a sub 3 before he turned 40 because of you. Look at all these people getting inspired to run marathons.
And so like I wrestle with that. I'm 43, and I feel like I have an injury today. I was texting with my father-in-law, who's a doctor, and the only doctor I talked to last night, and he's like, you have to stop running. And I haven't taken a day off since July, so I'm wrestling with, do I take a day off? He says, if I don't, I could lose my foot. I'm not going to lose my foot.
No, you'll be fine.
I'll be fine. I'm fucking run anyways. But the point is like, it was breaking through.
You have an infection?
Yeah, like on my right leg.
So like staph? Is it bone?
No,
infection?
It's not staph. It's not bone. I'm on antibiotics. He mostly said don't run because of the antibiotics I'm on.
What the fuck?
Look, he cares about my father-in-law.
Yeah.
I'm the father of his grandchildren.
Okay.
He's just trying to be a good man.
Yeah. Sorry, I respect
He's a
that,
doctor.
yes.
What does he know? I'm not going to take his advice. But
True.
Just to have the feather in my hat, like no one can ever take away. What did you do? 332?
Come on. 328. And you know what happened? I crossed that finish line. I was so happy. I looked at my watch. I was like, I can't fucking believe it.
How many marathons before you got to 320?
My goal was sub 340. I got under sub 330. And this is the LA one. It's hilly as fuck.
Yeah, it's a hard race. That's a hard race.
A lot of elevation. And I just was on that day. Everything hit.
How many marathons have you done?
That was my third one. And I've done the half Ironman too. Those don't count for anything. But that was my third marathon. And the second I get across the finish line, Oscar comes around with the camera, and I was like, "Yo, I can't fucking believe it, 328." And he goes, "Oh, that's sick. What was Casey's time?" And I was like, and he doesn't even get it because that when he says those condescending things, he didn't even mean it as a diss.
It took me 4 marathons to break 330.
Okay,
330 is a lifetime goal. So for the folks at home, 4 hours means you don't get to walk. You have to be running for all 4 hours.
Yeah,
330.
I was
means you are running fast. You're running. Think about the last time you at home ran a mile and the first number was a 7.
Yeah.
Like when was the last time you ran a mile? Like the New York City firefighter.
I just barely made it. So I was 7:59 pace the whole way.
Yeah, New York City. To be a New York City firefighter, you have to run a mile and a half in under 13 minutes.
Piece of cake.
So he ran considerably faster than that.
Yeah.
But not for a mile and a half, for 26.2. So 328 is nothing to shake a fucking stick at. But you ask me what now? It's like, yeah, I've achieved the goal, but all that means I get to sleep well at night, knowing that I have that feather in my hat.
Yeah.
But my goal now is to run New York City every year for the rest of my life.
Okay, that's.
And I don't care if I do.
Now you just get to have fun.
If I do, like 2
you're
years
like
ago,
Khabib. You're like
I fight for fun.
Yeah.
3 years ago, I did New York in 350, just to underscore how good your 328 is. 3 years ago, I did 350.
Oh, but that was a 90-degree day.
Still, it's the best I could do.
Yeah.
And
right.
I don't care if I do 350, 450, or I break
You'll
3 hours
waving
again.
At people now.
I want like that day is so incredible. You ran New York, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I was even in the LA one. I was stopping and waving. I might even stop and take a couple pictures. I think that was actually like a 324.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You would have done 324.
Yeah, that when I watched your video, I was like, "Fuck, I shouldn't have fucking done the waving and talking to people."
It makes a difference, man.
I was even trying to get jokes for the vlog that we did. I saw a guy in the Sauconys. I was like, "Hey, suck on these nuts." That was a good line. Brooks liked that one.
Yeah.
They sponsored the video. They were like, "Hey, we're gonna have to take out that suck on these nuts line. We love it, but we're gonna have to take it out."
Did you run for Brooks?
Yeah.
Brooks is the best, right?
I had the sponsor last year, and then they gave it to you this year because I had eye surgery.
They're working with a lot of...
thank you, David, for getting you my sponsor. Yeah.
That's. I'll let him know. I'll let him know I'm not going to release the movie now.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Deal.
Cool. Well, that's a good positive thing to end on. Get out there and run. It solves all your problems. Don't do drugs.
Wait, before we say goodbye, can I ask you, is it New York City public information?
What?
I know you just opened your barbershop in Staten Island very publicly.
Barbershop is open.
Is
Family's
LA
here? I just looked at a place that I'm going to probably put a down payment on soon. Yeah.
And LA is...
I will get a smaller place in LA.
What do you think the split will be?
Because Oscar got a studio like this in LA, so I can now put my podcast studio in there. And I want to shoot the barbershop episodes only in the barbershop, and all the other barbers are characters, and we could shoot after hours. There's so many more.
Because I've been saying this to you for years, but like that New York City show like it
Nothing
doesn't
like it.
exist, and there's
Yeah.
nothing like it.
Yeah.
And it just changes the energy. Like when
Yeah.
people walk into the shop in Staten Island versus West Hollywood,
Yeah.
it's just a different tone. It's a different
The way people
ethos.
talk to each other, it's
the
all
way people
insults.
act,
Yeah,
and then
that's
just
how
you being in the streets here.
Yeah.
It turns you into a different version of yourself.
Yeah,
and
it's-
I don't think anybody's doing it.
It's how I came about and how the show came about. It's what made me, and then LA kind of made me a little soft for a little bit. And now I'm coming back to my roots. I realized it, and I got to do it. It has to happen. It's happened. It's open. It's open for business. There's people getting haircuts there right now. Remember, we're still like renovating a little bit, but I just had to get it open. I had to get started shooting a new season.
How far
here.
is it from where you grew up?
It's literally like a 3-minute walk.
That's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Full circle. things
Right
become.
back to where I started. It's crazy. I used to walk
Everything
home from
changes
school
and
past that,
everything's
and
the
then
same.
I never thought I would be like, I fucking don't want to deal with. I don't want to have that job or like dealing with all these barbers. But luckily, I got a guy that's solid and
He's your
he keeps them
manager.
all in line. He's the manager. Yeah. So because that's what the most important thing. You need
Mm-hmm.
somebody solid to run it. But with this face attached to it, man, we're going straight to the
Solid
moon.
gold.
Yeah,
Solid
big
gold.
time. Yeah, a lot of money. In,
Uh,
a lot of
lot of
money
money
in
in
this town.
haircuts.
Yeah, a lot of money in this town, kid. You see the Penguin? You watch the Penguin?
Yeah, I watched the
Great
Penguin.
show, huh?
It's
That's what I feel like.
fantastic.
I feel like him with
Reminds
this
me,
eye.
yeah.
That's Kyle. A lot of money in this town, kid. You're gonna love it out here. You trust me?
Is he coming out too?
You listen to
Kyle,
me.
you coming out too? Yeah, boy.
You listen to me. We're gonna make fucking
All
a
right.
lot of money, kid.
Jeff, thanks for
The pink leather
This
bag
is
and
nice.
dry shampoo. That's for
the
your,
first
for
gem
your
was
daughters.
not leather. Is this leather?
We might have give you the well.
This is
This is
leather.
like the PR one. This is real leather. Yeah, of course. That shit's legit. You know, I don't fuck around. This ain't no Mr. Beast.
Thanks for having me on.
No, sorry, I don't insult your friends. I thank
Take
you
it
for coming
easy.
on.
Jesus. Jeff,
Yeah.
I try to be friends with everyone.
I know. I go after everybody. Everybody fucking hates me.
There's
How do
only,
I
like,
still get
there's only
guests?
one person in the world that
That's because I'm the same with everyone everywhere I go. You keep it real. You just, I don't bullshit. I don't lie, so I don't have to remember my lies. Just be honest.
It's
easier.
unfortunate that your face is all fucked up because we could have we could have spun this into like a pay-per-view. You know what I mean?
What?
Like a payper-view. We could have fought each other.
And
like
just fuck my eye up
KSI,
more?
Logan Paul. No, I said it's unfortunate.
Oh, you and me?
because it precludes us.
You
from,
don't want to do that, homie.
Yeah,
you could
fucking
do a
like-
run. We
look,
could do a
I've-
race.
I've sparred with you enough to know I'm not fucking getting into a boxing.
Yeah, we
ring
could
with
get
you.
into it. We could have a
I'm
jog
fucking-
together.
I'm boxing this
Yeah.
guy.
You're going to
Oh,
out cardio me?
No way. I'll out cardio you. Not in the ring
Yeah,
though.
I bet you will. Yeah.
The
I'll
trouble
make sure
with-
they give it 8 minute or 8 rounds.
The trouble with
8
me
2-minute
boxing
rounds.
is
I'll shatter that
I got
face.
this fucking target
shatter that
right
thing.
in the middle of the canvas.
Look at those knuckles. You see
You
the
didn't have to come
difference?
close. You're catching the
That's
nose.
somebody's
and then I'm just
forehead that I
fucked.
dented in right there. You see that? That's the break in the hand. Imagine being a barber and having a broken hand and one eye. Figure it out,
Broken hand, one eye. Jeff, thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you,
Good
Casey.
luck with the pod.
Appreciate
Good luck
it.
with the
I'm happy
barbershop.
we squashed our fake beef,